This week in wrestling history, we go back 35 years ago this week. On March 1st, 1986, WWE aired the first ever Slammy Awards as a live special on MTV hosted by Vince McMahon from the Baltimore Civic Center in Baltimore, Maryland, created as a way to promote the wrestling album, which was released 4 months earlier in November. Mean Gene Okerlund won for Best Commentator, beating out Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura. Cyndi Lauper won for Best Producer. Roddy Piper won for Best Personality in the Land of a Thousand Dances video. Junkyard Dog won for Best Single Performer for Grab Them Cakes. And Nikolai Volkov won as the sole nominee. So the fix was in. He won for Most Ignominious. There's a word for you. Ignominious, meaning disgraceful or dishonorable. So, of course, they gave it to the evil Russian, the evil foreigner. In between the awards, we had Mean Gene performing Tutti Frutti, Hillbilly Jim lip-syncing to Don't Go Messin' with a Country Boy, and Junkyard Dog performing Grab Them Cakes, which actually is a great song. I love Grab Them Cakes. It's got such a catchy beat. The wrestling album, it also included a little ditty from Rick Derringer called Real American, originally designated for the U.S. Express team of Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. It ended up going to some other guy, I forget his name, but I think he went on to have a decent career. There was an actual show that followed the awards ceremony. If you watch it back, you can actually see there was a ring kind of behind where everybody was sitting. Paul Orndorff beat Roddy Piper in the main event inside a steel cage. Come for an award show, stay for a cage match. 32 years ago this week, on the March 4th, 1989 episode of WWF Superstars, taped on February 15th in Binghamton, New York, Ted DiBiase unveiled his new $1 million belt on the Brother Love show. Because when you can't win a championship and you have a lot of money, why not just make your own? They used Vince McMahon's personal jeweler to create the new belt, Terry Betteridge from Betteridge Jewelers in Greenwich, Connecticut. I loved the vignettes that they aired on TV with DiBiase in the jewelry store, checking in for updates every week on the title as it was being made. According to Bruce Pritchard, who helped film the vignettes, nobody gave Terry the proper dimensions for the belt. So when the day came that he was ready to unveil it and show it to them, he made what he thought was a belt. Like a fancy belt that would keep your pants up, or as Pritchard described it, something like Elvis Presley would wear during a concert or something. So if you remember the money symbols, they were the side plates on the belt, the smaller side plates. That originally is what the center plate looked like. So it was not very big at all. When they saw the belt, they realized, oh shit, this isn't going to work. So they had to bring in one of the WWF belts to the shop just to show Terry and say, okay, this is more in line with, what we're looking for. And what happened is it delayed things for a few weeks. So that's why we had all those segments teasing what the belt was going to look like without actually showing us, because they had to stall for time so the belt could be redone. And then, if you remember in that final segment, that classic final segment from the jewelry shop, DiBiase storms in, the doors swing open, and he shouts, "I'm here!" which never fails to get a laugh out of me. I want to walk into every store like that. I want to walk into work. When I eventually go back to the office, I want to walk into the office and just shout, "I'm here!" I don't care how early it is, how quiet it is. I'm just going to walk in. I'm going to shout it. The top of my lungs. DiBiase was wearing a cape when he walked in. Like any good evil villain, he was wearing a cape. According to Pritchard, that cape belonged to none other than Vince McMahon. And I guess nobody bothered to ask why Vince would even be owning a cape in the first place. But between that and the sword that he owns, that he gifted to Drew McIntyre to use during his entrance, Vince McMahon either collects a lot of weird shit Or he and Linda must have some kind of weird role-playing relationship going on together. I mean, hey, to each their own. You know, it probably gets harder the older you get. But they must love role-playing together. God only knows what kind of Game of Thrones scenes they're acting out together in the McMansion. The belt was 18-karat gold with real diamonds on the back, embedded into the leather. Cost a little under $50,000 to make. Too bad it couldn't make new stars. It didn't do the ringmaster much good, and it did even less for DiBiase's son when he used it. 25 years ago this week, on March 5th, 1996, Kevin Nash informed Vince McMahon over the phone that he would be leaving the WWF to take a 3-year deal with WCW, believed to be somewhere in the range of $450,000 to as much as $750,000 a year guaranteed money. McMahon was said to be appreciative of the way that Nash handled the situation, unlike the way that Scott Hall announced his intentions of leaving via telegram that he sent to the company. I still, it's so weird. I still remember reading the announcement the WWE put out in its America Online section. Remember those days? Keyword WWF. The statement had these quotes from Vince McMahon in it, and credit to the Pro Wrestling Torch, March 16, 1996 issue. This is part of what the statement said in Vince McMahon's own words. Kevin and I are friends. I think from my perspective, he did not make a good business decision. Diesel could have become an icon here in the World Wrestling Federation, an icon from which he would be able to derive great benefit financially and aesthetically for another 20 years, perhaps far outlasting his time as a wrestler in the ring. But yes, it hurts, and people in Ted's organization know that it hurts. Turner's organization has no idea how to make a star. All they can do is buy. The idea is to acquire the services of Kevin Nash so that Diesel ceases to exist in the WWF, thus attempting to hurt the WWF. It was very unlike Vince McMahon to issue a statement like that acknowledging one of their biggest stars was leaving for the competition. But it also made very clear that he wasn't winning at WrestleMania, nor was he winning the title from Shawn Michaels the following month, which he did not. He did the honors for both men on the way out of the company. 23 years ago this week, on March 1st, 1998, ECW presented its Living Dangerously pay-per-view from Asbury Park, New Jersey, which anytime I hear the name Asbury Park, I think of Greetings from Asbury Park. I associate it with the Beast from the East. One of the more, I think, underrated big men in wrestling history, Bam Bam Bigelow. Underrated because, he never won a world title in a major promotion. I just think he doesn't get enough love. And on this show, Bam Bam beat Taz in one of the most famous matches in ECW history to win their world television title. Taz had Bigelow locked in the Kata Hajime. He had him locked in the Taz mission when Bigelow fell backwards. Or actually, he kind of fell more to the side. But he fell backwards, and both men fell through the ring. There was a collapsible hole in the ring. We saw this gimmick used in WWE many times years later. They fell through the ring. And again, because that spot has since been done to death so many times, it's lost a lot of its shock value over the years. But at that time, it was something people had never seen before. So they go through the ring, and you can see all these people in the ECW arena. Actually, it wasn't the ECW arena, but in the building that night, their jaws dropped. They gasped, couldn't believe what they had seen. They thought it was awesome. Bigelow eventually dragged Taz's lifeless body out of the hole and pinned him to win the title. It was Paul Heyman's way of getting the TV title off of Taz without making him look weak and protecting him because Taz was being groomed for the world title. And it was only 2 months later, the champion, Shane Douglas, he was out with an injury. Taz shows up at the company's It Ain't Seinfeld event on May 14th. With an old TV title painted orange that he dubbed the FTW title, which is being used on TV even today, held by Brian Cage in AEW. And that was the title that Taz would defend until Douglas was healthy enough to come back and wrestle. One of the more unique names, I would say, for a wrestling show. It ain't Seinfeld. Reason being, the event took place the same night that the Seinfeld finale aired, to the tune of 76 million viewers on NBC. The next day, on March 2nd, 1998, Raw is War emanated from the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, with an appearance from Iron Mike Tyson, the guest enforcer for the upcoming WWE title match at WrestleMania between Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is one of the best angles the company has ever done. Vince McMahon was in the ring to interview Tyson when they were interrupted by D-Generation X. Shawn Michaels called him out for a fight, and Tyson accepted. Both men cleared their people out of the ring. Mike had his whole entourage with him, obviously, wherever he went. So they left the ring, and Shawn had his DX buddies and Vince McMahon and all the WWF officials and referees. They all cleared out. They all cleared out of the ring. The fans were losing their minds. You can feel the excitement. You can feel the tension. Michaels and Tyson came nose to nose in the middle of the ring. They were shoving each other. Tyson said that he would give Michaels a free punch. He was pointing at his chin. He was going to give him a free shot. Michaels grabbed Tyson as Tyson was just daring him to punch him. He grabbed Tyson by his WWF Attitude t-shirt, and when he railed back to throw the punch, instead, he grabbed the shirt, he ripped it off to reveal underneath a DX shirt. And Jim Ross went nuts. He was so disgusted by what he had just seen. Vince McMahon was angry. He saw WrestleMania slipping through his fingers. DX had gotten one over on him. Of course, it was all just a ruse, as we would find out later on, and Tyson betrayed DX at WrestleMania, fast-counted the fall for Austin. This worked to perfection. They hit a home run with this. They got all the publicity and the press they wanted on SportsCenter and all the newscasts. But it was just a well-done, very basic angle. But it was just a very well-done angle. They hit a home run. 22 years ago this week, on the March 7th, 1999 episode of Sunday Night Heat, taped on March 2nd, Kurt Angle made his WWE television debut in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in a segment with Tiger Ali Singh, who at the time was doing the old $1 Million Man gimmick, paying people to come into the ring and do degrading things for money. On this night, Angle and his wife Karen were guests in the front row when Tiger called him into the ring. The man who won an Olympic gold medal for his country, he offered Kurt Angle $500 cash to blow his nose in the American flag. And when Kurt refused, Tiger upped the offer to $2,000, and again, Kurt refused. Finally, Tiger offered him $5,000 to do the deed. And that was just too good to resist. Kurt said, "I'll do it." And he grabbed the American flag and he put his nose in it. But before he would blow, when Tiger turned his back, Angle put the American flag down, and instead he picked up the Indian flag that was in the ring and he blew his nose into that, which WWE's international president apologized for 19 years later in the year 2016, after it became a subject of controversy with WWE at that time, now running more events in India. I guess it came up. I mean, WWE has a huge fan base in India right now. So, of course, now they want to play nice and they want to make up for all the awful things that they did many years ago that they would never get away with today. But Tiger attacked Angle with the American flag and beat him with it before Kurt gave him a suplex and a snap power slam to end the segment. This would be his one and only TV appearance until the vignettes started airing later in the year, ahead of his in-ring debut at Survivor Series against Meat. That was Kurt Angle's first opponent on pay-per-view. Shawn Stasiak. Kurt Angle wrestled Meat. He beat Meat at Survivor Series. What a debut. Not too many people can say that they did that. Not too many people can say that they went into their first pay-per-view match live on television in front of millions of people and beat Meat. But Kurt Angle can say that he did that. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.